Hello Cowboys Nation, welcome to another video, and without further ado, let's get to another round of news from America's team. Cowboys called out for not pursuing external free agents. There are a lot of great free agents available in the 2026 cycle, players who could likely help the Dallas Cowboys finally make the leap to the next level. Don't count on any of them ending up in Dallas. Bleacher Report's Adam Wells pointed out a pretty incredible statistic about the Cowboys when it comes to free agency recently. One that might also give some insight as to why they haven't made the playoffs the last two seasons. One primary issue with looking at free agency is, Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones has been reluctant to really dive into that pool, Wells wrote. He hasn't signed an external free agent to a contract worth more than $6 million since Gerald McCoy's 3-year, $18 million deal in March 2020. If the Cowboys are going to significantly address their defense, it will likely come through either the draft or a potential trade. Of the 4 remaining teams in the NFC playoffs, we can point to at least one player on the roster each team signed as an external free agent in 2025, just on offense. That's helped them get to this point that cost each of them over $6 million. Quarterback Sam Darnold on the Seattle Seahawks, $100.5 million. Wide receiver Demarcus Robinson on the San Francisco 49ers, $9.5 million. Wide receiver Davante Adams on the Los Angeles Rams, $44 million. And center Drew Dalman on the Chicago Bears, $42 million. Like we said, those are just the signings on offense. If the Cowboys want to get better, they may have to bite the bullet and sign an actual free agent and not just rely on Jones' draft acumen, trades, or what they already have on the roster. This is all not to say the Cowboys haven't clocked some wins in the bargain bin free agency barrel. In 2025, they signed running back Javonte Williams to a 1-year, $3 million contract, and he responded with career highs in rushing yards, 1,201, touchdowns, 11, and yards per carry, 4.8. After that, it's a wasteland. The Cowboys signed a ton of free agents for piddly deals who made little to no impact on their season instead of pooling that money to go after one big free agent to actually help them win games. What Cowboys could do in free agency in 2026? The short answer is, not much. The Cowboys are in desperate need of an edge rusher after trading perennial All-Pro Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers shortly before the 2025 season, but it's highly unlikely they'll be able to go after one of the top options like Trey Hendrickson, Jalen Phillips, or Khalil Mack. Which means the Cowboys almost certainly will miss the playoffs for a 3rd consecutive season. Cowboys to make move on Super Bowl champ for defensive coordinator job. The ever-expanding Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator search expanded again on Wednesday, as the team is now reported to seek an interview with former Patriots defensive coordinator and current Packers defensive line coach DeMarcus Covington. If you're keeping score at home, and you should maybe get a new hobby if you are, that means the Cowboys are interviewing or have sought interviews with 9 candidates. Broncos assistant and passing game coordinator Jim Leonhard. Minnesota Vikings pass game coordinator Durant Jones. Cleveland Browns safeties coach Ephraim Bonda. Ex-Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon. Current Cowboys defensive line coach Aaron Whitecotton. Former Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator Zach Orr. Philadelphia Eagles defensive backs coach and pass game coordinator Christian Parker. Giants interim defensive coordinator Charlie Bullen. And now, Green Bay Packers defensive line coach DeMarcus Covington. There was a 10th interview request for Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, who was the Jets' interim head coach in 2024 after the firing of Robert Saleh. But Atlanta denied that request for an interview, and there is no word on whether it will be revisited. Covington certainly has a wealth of experience operating under a variety of defensive coordinators from his time with the Patriots, where he coaches from 2017 through 2024, mostly under Bill Belichick. Covington was part of the defensive staff that won Super Bowl 53, holding the Rams to a field goal in a 13-3 win. Covington was a wide receiver in college, at FCS school Samford, but has been a defensive assistant throughout his career, spending 4 years in New England as the defensive line coach. He moved to the defensive side of the ball with his first coaching job, at UAB, and has steadily progressed from there. Covington's focus is always on teaching, which is an aspect that Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer said is important to him in his next coordinator. There were reports after the firing of Matt Eberflus last week that Eberflus was too set in his outlook on how to coach the defense, and was not good at communicating and teaching his system to players. Cowboys' dream trade target may finally be within reach after Steelers' playoff dud. The Dallas Cowboys and Pittsburgh Steelers are two teams trying desperately to get back to the glory days, and as disappointing as the 2025 season was for the Cowboys, things might be worse for Pittsburgh. The latest playoff debacle for the Steelers came at the hands of the Houston Texans on Monday night in Pittsburgh, and the latest playoff loss has a lot of folks speculating on where the Steelers will go from here. This elimination, along with the departure of coach Mike Tomlin after 19 seasons with the team, could mean more losses for the Steelers roster. As you would expect, superstar pass rusher T.J. Watt was extremely frustrated after the loss. He's 31 years old, and with so much of the future up in the air for Pittsburgh, is it possible he could actually be available via trade in 2026? If that ends up being the case, the Cowboys would have to come calling. Good thing the phone lines are open between the Cowboys and Steelers, right? These two teams came together on the George Pickens trade after the 2025 NFL Draft, so the Steelers already own some of the Cowboys' draft capital for 2026. Third-round pick. The Cowboys still have 2 first-round picks thanks to the Micah Parsons trade, and they also have a clear need for help off the edge from that trade. Watt has an extremely tradable contract after signing an extension with the Steelers during the 2025 offseason, which included $108 million at the time of signing. He received his base salaries for 2025, 2026, and 2027 as initial guarantees, so the Cowboys, or any team trading for him, would only need to figure out the salary cap gymnastics to make it happen. Maybe there will be options less expensive than Watt in terms of the cost to acquire via trade as well as take on the remainder of the contract, but all of the factors at play here could make Watt available for a much more reasonable price. Entering his age 32 season, the Steelers can't expect a first-round return for Watt.